Now, over the last few years, I've seen way more channels releasing videos on adding a sensor panel to your PC. Basically, where you go farm some small portable monitor from like AliExpress and you stick that in your case somehow. Jonsbo was like, yo, we gonna kick it up a notch and sell you a case with the monitor built in. What's good with it? It's your kinfolk Dookie. Today we're taking a look at the DS31 mesh from Jonsbo. I gotta give a big shout out to the homie Ali Oxen. He's a YouTuber that does like PC builds. He does these really cool custom small form factor cases that he 3D prints and all of this stuff, man. Make sure you check out his channel. I'm gonna leave a link to it in the description. I was on Twitter and I saw a tweet from somebody else. I can't remember all the details, but it was basically a tweet about how this case was available and he was the one that let people know about it. So I went and I saw that they had one in stock and I was like, immediately pick one up. Did I buy it specifically for the monitor? Yes. Would I recommend you to do that? Well, let's just wait and see. Should clean this table off a little bit better before I started. All right, let's take an up close look at the D31 mesh. First and foremost, we're gonna bypass talking about the screen or the monitor too much right now. I wanna talk about the rest of the case and we'll get back to the monitor because it's not like we can ignore it. Right here on the front, you have this mesh panel right here with your front I/O, you got your power, USB 3.1, and you got a USB-C. You also have audio up front, which I always like. A lot of people don't use this anymore, but it always comes in handy. You do have a full mesh panel up top. On the sides here, we have tempered glass, and turning it around, you see we have this stainless steel side panel. It would be nice if this was mesh as well. You have two capacitive screws back here to take the top off. Let's go ahead and do that. As you can see, that's your full mesh panel. Up top is your best place for mounting a radiator, and you have space for up to a 360 radiator, but I think in this case 240 or 280 would probably be best. Once you take the top off, the side panels just pop out, and there's a little tab here in the back to help with that. Now, I forgot to mention the back. Of course, you have space here for your exhaust fan and your PCI slots right here. Now, this is not necessarily a small form factor case, but it is built for a smaller motherboard. So you're going to want to go with an ITX, DTX, or MATX motherboard in here, even though it does have space for a full ATX power supply. So keep that in mind. Also, with this length, you should be able to fit pretty beefy GPUs. Taking a look here on the back, there does seem to be sufficient space for cable routing. It looks like they have a lot of tie down points and places where you can hide cables. Also, even though we won't be using one here on this build, there is space for two SSDs. If you look at this channel right here, this is how you're gonna run the cables for the monitor here up front. Now, these are the USB and HDMI cables that they include for the monitor. There's two cutouts for cables, and you will route those back up into the back of your GPU. That way you can power this as a second monitor. You also do have mounts down here for fans. Maybe if you wanted to put some intake fans down here, blow them up, exhaust out the top. We'll see what kind of space we have left once we finish the build. Now, before we get to it, I want to talk about the overall looks and aesthetics. Now, if we're gonna keep it a buck, I bought this for the monitor. Having that built into the case without me having to go source my own monitor from AliExpress, I think that's a great feature, especially for the price. Now, after spending some time with it before the build, I do wish that I had picked up the white color, only because this is giving off major office PC type vibes. But I really just want to go ahead and put it together. I'm not going to focus on a real fancy build sequence because I want to see what this looks like all done. Y'all ready? Let's get into it. All right, now that the build is done, let's talk about the case and what the build process was like. Overall, I was very impressed with the quality of not just the materials, but the building process. This case, even though it's small, fit everything perfectly. And I gotta say, on the back is some of the most well thought out cable management routing that I've seen. Like everything just fit into place. And then with somebody like me who is lazy, having this section down here under the power supply that's blocked off by this panel right here on the side that shove cables in, I love it. I love it. If I were to buy it again, I would probably pick up the white version so that it doesn't look so desktop PC-ish. Like, yes, we do have the monitor, and we'll get to that in a second. The overall aesthetic of it just gives me those old school Dell, HP desktops. We got 1,000 of them at work. Even still, I do genuinely enjoy this case. I think they made a lot of smart decisions. The capacitive side panels that you could just pull off all of the front panels being easily swappable. Like I could easily just take the monitor off and then slide that front mesh panel that they have included on here. So let's talk about the actual monitor. What we have here is an 8-inch 1280 by 800p resolution monitor that does 60 hertz. You're not looking for a high resolution, high frame rate experience with something like this. You're not getting this because you want to have a secondary monitor to edit videos on or watch 4K HDR content. You're getting this monitor mainly to display live wallpapers or something like this actual sensor panel. So another big shout out to Ali Oxen. I actually picked this up off his website. It's a template, basically a kit for AIDA64. So you have AIDA64, and what we have here is we have our CPU being monitored, we have our RAM here, we have our GPU and how that's running, and then we also have volume and a frame rate calculator down here below. Now, the reason you have something like this is because you want to monitor your system's performance, or you just want that extra flex for your IG post. Let's be honest. But using this allows me to talk about the performance of this case while gaming. So I know I didn't go over what the actual build was because all of the parts were just older parts that I had laying around that I just cobbled together for a build. But we have a Ryzen 5 3600. We have a B450 mini ITX motherboard from ASRock. We have 16 gigabytes of RAM. And then for the GPU, I put in that recently bought 6650 XT. And we get pretty solid performance here at 1440p, especially in AAA titles and the games that I like to play. So I didn't really think that this case would have the greatest temperatures. I gotta say, under load, it performs surprisingly well. The GPU never really heats up and the CPU stays at a reasonable temp. So I'm pretty impressed with the overall cooling here. I figured if you wanted to go custom and put radiators and have a whole bunch of fans in here, I mean, you'd be able to keep this not only super quiet, but super cool. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and do a quick sound test of the D31 mesh running a game and see exactly how loud those fans get. All right, to wrap it up, would I recommend that you pick up the D31 mesh from Jonsbo? For someone like me with incredible ADHD, the ability to be playing a game and then maybe have this monitor, you know, playing some of my favorite YouTube videos or using it to control my audio is a great option for me. Can you go buy a cheap monitor and add it to whatever case you want? Yes, but I do like the fact that it comes all in one clean package that I don't have to do anything extra to. I don't have to figure out where it goes. Boom, it's right there. As far as the case itself, the materials are quality. It feels like this would last forever, and very well thought out cable management runs. As someone who hates cable management, this case allows you to do some pretty good cable management, so I'm not mad at that. Price-wise, I've seen it between $140 to $150. I think you're getting a pretty solid product for that. Now they do have a version without the monitor. I don't know if I would pick that up just because the overall aesthetic of this case is probably not what I would want. But overall, man, I'm not mad at the D31 from Jonsbo. And if you're interested, I'm gonna leave a link down below so you can pick it up. Man, you guys let me know what you think down below in the comments, man. I've been loving all the interaction that we've been getting lately here on the channel, man. I'm really excited to bring you some more stuff, man. It's your boy Dookie. Go ahead and tap in, man. Get involved. I'm gonna get up out of here. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and never forget to holler at your boy.